Mitch Rapp is a happy young man, as he and his girlfriend Katrina Harper are vacationing in Spain and enjoying the beach. Katrina is busy swimming, but Mitch has other plans as he whips out an engagement ring and proposes to her right there, expressing how much he loves her, and Katrina happily accepts to be his wife. The two reaffirm their love for each other and kiss in celebration of their promising future together. Mitch leaves to get them both drinks at the bar, when gunshots begin to ring out and bodies begin to fall all around Mitch as terrorists begin launching their attack. Mitch tries to get back to Katrina, taking a bullet to the leg in the process. Mitch continues pushing on, screaming for Katrina, but she is shot and gunned down right before his eyes by a terrorist. 18 months later, Mitch is now a changed man, filled with rage and a desire for vengeance. He has been tracking down the terrorists, posing as a jihadist fanatic on messaging platforms, trying to secure an invitation to meet and then kill the man that shot Katrina. Mitch also trains himself extensively in martial arts, but the rage he now has gets him kicked out of multiple gyms for beating on his sparring partners. At the range, Mitch sticks out like a sore thumb as he chooses to go fully auto, walking downrange unloading his gun. Unknown to him, he is being followed and watched closely by the CIA. One evening, Mitch finally receives his long-awaited invitation to join the terrorists, and CIA Deputy Director Irene Kennedy is all over it. Mitch soon arrives in Libya and gets to the terrorist compound, where masked men lead him to their secret base. One terrorist takes his shades, but Mitch removes a blade from them in secret. His person and belongings are searched, and when the man is satisfied, Mitch is blindfolded and escorted inside. There, Mitch comes face to face with Katrina's killer, Al-Mansour, who is the leader of the terrorists. As they talk, Mitch secretly begins to free himself, but before he can attack, Al-Mansour is shot, and a team of special ops soldiers rush the room, killing everyone. With Al-Mansour dead, Mitch screams in anger as he plunges a blade into his chest over and over until soldiers restrain him. After this, Mitch is brought into the CIA and undergoes 30 days of debriefing, where his entire background, including his parents' deaths, is discussed. During this time, Deputy Director Kennedy is keenly observing Mitch and enters the interrogation room on the final day. Kennedy thinks it was quite bold of him to assume he could kill Mansour and take out his entire cell by himself. But Mitch thinks now they'll never know. Despite other officials wanting to throw Mitch in prison, Kennedy wants him to join the CIA, but Mitch shuns the idea as he wanted to get it done himself. Kennedy likes his agenda, but tells him his only two options are prison or her way. Kennedy goes to Director Stansfield with her report on Mitch, but Stansfield is hesitant, as Mitch is impulsive and uncooperative to join their Black Ops team Orion, and the leader, Hurley, already doesn't like Mitch's psych profile. Kennedy, however, is sure that Mitch is the type of agent she has been looking for, so Stansfield wishes her luck with Hurley. As all this is going on, a report comes in about missing plutonium from a decommissioned Russian nuclear facility, and Stansfield has Kennedy on standby. Kennedy is transporting Mitch to Orion training. Along the way, she explains that Hurley is an ex-Navy SEAL who served with her father. They soon arrive at a compound hidden in the woods, and Hurley comes out to meet Kennedy. He is not fond of the idea, but Kennedy explains that Mitch has none of the bad habits and carries himself as a civilian, which is what they need. Kennedy leaves, and Hurley starts pressing Mitch, wondering what he is even doing here, but Mitch isn't fazed, telling Hurley to test his combat if he has doubts. Hurley hides being impressed and has an agent show Mitch to his room. The next day, during training, Hurley displays his skills against Mitch. He then has Mitch spar with another recruit, Victor, but the spar turns into a brawl. Hurley uses the chance to add to their training, warning the others that they are ghosts and if they are captured, their next choice should be death. At the Iranian embassy in London, Kennedy and Stansfield meet with Iranian officials, as intelligence reveals the stolen plutonium is heading to Iran, but the officials deny having any knowledge of the smuggled material, and Minister of Defense Baraz reassures them that Iran would never break their nuclear deal with the USA. The men come to no solid conclusion from the meeting and soon adjourn. Stansfield doesn't trust the Iranian and tells Kennedy to prepare Orion. Mitch and the other recruits are then put through a virtual combat simulation, where they must memorize their target's faces and will receive an electric shock if they are hit, fail to kill a target, or kill a non-combatant. With Kennedy watching anxiously nearby, the simulation gets underway. Hurley inserts Al-Mansur, and Mitch instinctively shoots him and receives a shock. As the simulation continues, the recruits all begin to tap out due to the pain. Hurley continues to mess with Mitch, but Mitch bears the shocks and falls to his knees, but keeps firing. Meanwhile, in Poland, men are carrying out a deal in a van to transfer the stolen plutonium. Before payment can be made, cops come knocking on the van door, asking them to move. The cops get suspicious and enter, but the buyer suddenly shoots both cops and the seller's dead. He bursts out, shooting at more men before disappearing into the chaos. Hurley hears the news report about the shooting, and he recognizes the shooter and seems worried. Mitch and Victor are the only remaining Orion recruits left and are placed in a fake store where they must identify and eliminate their target. Victor is first to catch sight of the target, and Mitch, who is observing Victor, assists him in eliminating the target and another secret target, unloading on the pissed woman. Kennedy calls in Hurley for a briefing about the stolen plutonium. He shows her the still image of the shooter, asking if she recognizes him. Kennedy swears he died years ago in a drone attack, revealing that the shooter was once an Orion operative now going by the name Ghost. Kennedy has further intel indicating that Turkish arms dealer Hamdi Sharif is selling a nuclear trigger device and wants to use the chance to take them both out. Kennedy wants Orion deployed to Istanbul, but wants Mitch as part of the team. Hurley then calls Mitch into his office, playing the video Mitch took in Spain. Mitch gets pissed, demanding he turn off the video, but Hurley tells him he doesn't care what Mitch is feeling. Mitch tries attacking him, but ends up almost getting choked out, and Hurley warns him to never allow his emotions to cloud his judgment. Mitch, Victor, and Hurley land in Turkey, where they are picked up by CIA agent Annika, and Hurley briefs the team on Sharif, leaving Mitch on lookout duty with Annika for the upcoming mission. Later, Mitch and Annika observe Sharif talking with his assistant. Mitch goes off script and bumps into the man, stealing his cell phone. Even though Mitch did good, Hurley still scolds him for going off script. The agents decrypt the cell phone and find out Sharif has a lunch meeting tomorrow, and Hurley puts Victor on lead and leaves Mitch on backup with Annika. The next day, Annika and Mitch are posted across from the restaurant. Sharif soon arrives, but he has brought a few soldiers as his protection, so Hurley plans to take care of them. He stalks a lone soldier and pulls him into an alley, warning him to call in a bomb threat on the other side of town with a blade to his neck. The soldiers soon move out in a hurry, and Hurley chokes the soldier out. Mitch and Victor then move towards the restaurant. Inside, Sharif hands a car key over to the buyer, who instantly picks out Victor and kills him before opening fire on Mitch and the patrons. Mitch reports to Hurley that the targets escaped and Victor is dead, so Hurley wants to cancel the mission, but Mitch sees Sharif escaping and forces his assistant to follow. They get to Sharif's apartment complex, and Mitch breaks into the compound, but dogs begin chasing him, and he barely escapes by locking himself in a car. He then lures the dogs into the car and locks them inside. Mitch breaks into Sharif's apartment, but he is found out and forced to escape Sharif's bodyguard. Mitch lays in wait and battles the man, eventually managing to end him brutally. He then bursts into Sharif's room and ends him without hesitation before stealing his laptop. Back at base, Hurley is ripping Mitch a new one for disobeying his orders. Kennedy soon arrives, and Hurley shows her the news report of Mitch, but Kennedy still defends Mitch and insists he stays on the team. They also see Ghost escaping in the car, and Hurley regrets ever training him and promises to kill him. Now that he has the trigger, he will need a physicist. After going through Sharif's laptop, they have identified a $2 million transfer to Rome. In Rome, a convoy carrying Minister Baruz arrives at a facility. They head deep underground where Baruz meets with Ghost, revealing he is Ghost's employer, and they make plans to pick up the physicist. Annika, Hurley, and Mitch arrive in Rome, and Mitch wants to know who the man is that killed Victor, but Hurley tells him he's simply a bad guy. Annika exits a bank and returns to them, revealing that once the physicist picks up his payment, they'll be alerted. Not long after, the withdrawal is made, and they identify the physicist. They follow the man's car back to his hotel, and Mitch and Annika get the room right next door to his and run a video feed into his room. Mitch is watching the video feed intently when Annika comes wanting to talk about his feelings. She ends up distracting him, causing him to miss the men who enter the physicist's room and find their video feed. Mitch kills one man, but Annika is captured. Hurley, who is sitting in his car outside, doesn't hear from Mitch and decides to head up. Inside, Mitch and Annika are being held at gunpoint. Ghost demands to know where Hurley is, but Hurley suddenly bursts in, letting off shots, but Ghost manages to escape the room. Mitch and Annika fight off and kill the other men, and Hurley corners the physicist who is trying to escape. They bring the physicist to an empty location, and Mitch demands to know who the man is, but Hurley ignores him and begins interrogating the physicist, asking for the location of the bomb. Hurley ignores Mitch's questions and tells him to get cleaned up. Mitch and Annika get themselves a hotel room. She helps him with his injuries, but urges him to get some rest, and they will get Ghost tomorrow. Annika goes to start a bath when Mitch confronts her, asking how she knows that name and who she works for. She swears he mentioned it to her and that she is CIA, but Mitch suspects she is Iranian and attacks her. He begins to hold her underwater, demanding that she talk, but Annika refuses. Afterward, Annika is interrogated and found out to be Iranian intelligence, and Hurley plans to pay her handler a visit, telling Mitch to cover for him with Kennedy. Hurley goes to meet Annika's handler, Ashani, who turns out to be Annika's uncle and Hurley's old friend. He reveals that Minister Baraz and General Rostami are the ones who hired Ghost to acquire nuclear materials. He has intel that Ghost has requested an Iranian physicist to replace the one captured when Ashani is killed and Hurley shot in the leg by Ghost. Kennedy gets to the safe house when they are alerted that Ashani was found dead. Mitch reveals that Hurley was to meet him and wants to go after him, but Kennedy refuses and wants him returned home. Annika is being led away by CIA agents, and Mitch grabs her cell phone and goes after her. He intercepts the car and takes out the driver, revealing to Annika that her handler was killed and Hurley taken. Meanwhile, Hurley is at the secret nuclear lab with his arm trapped in a vice. Ghost shows him the scars left from the torture he endured when Hurley left him behind and wishes Hurley had come for him. But Hurley tells him he put 10 agents' lives at risk because he couldn't follow orders. Ghost then angrily ties Hurley's free hand above his head. Annika tells Mitch that she has a trace on Baraz's cell phone, which could lead them to Hurley. Mitch manages to steal a motorist's car, and they speed off in Baraz's direction. Ghost decides to torture Hurley, demanding to know where the rest of his team is, and when Hurley refuses to talk, he yanks a fingernail off. He wants to know where the New Star Kid is, but Hurley tells him Mitch is much better than him, so Ghost yanks another fingernail out. He gets fed up with Hurley and begins to electrocute him. He regrets ever trusting Hurley and the U.S. Navy and cuts a deep wound into Hurley's chest, then uses a blowtorch to cauterize it. Hurley decides to tell him where Mitch is, but when Ghost comes close, Hurley bites a chunk out of his ear. Just then, Baraz is alerted that the bomb has been primed, but Ghost suddenly guns down everyone. Hurley tells him to end him too, but Ghost wants Hurley alive to see the results of what he has created. Mitch and Annika arrive at the location, and they sneak inside, guns drawn. They get to a locked gate, and only Annika can get through, so Mitch hands her his gun and tells her to go. 3 gunmen come walking down the tunnel, so Mitch climbs up to the ceiling to escape from them. Meanwhile, Annika gets to the lab when she stumbles upon a dying Baraz. He begs her for help, but Annika is overcome with anger for killing her uncle and shoots him dead, alerting everyone. Mitch rushes back out to their car and drives into the tunnel, killing the 3 gunmen and smashing through the gate. The car gets stuck between the walls and causes an explosion, which Kennedy and her team detect, and she deploys a team. Mitch gets to Hurley, who urges him to go after Ghost as he has started the timer for the nuke. Mitch goes hunting for Ghost and comes upon him holding a gun to Annika. Annika tells Mitch she wants to see her family and uses Ghost's gun to end herself. Mitch continues after Ghost, taking out another gangster along the way. Ghost has boarded a boat, but Mitch manages to jump onto the passing boat and attack Ghost. The two fight brutally while getting thrown around by the waves. Ghost beats him back, taunting him about his dead girlfriend. Meanwhile, Hurley is picked up by a chopper and reaches out to Kennedy, and they deduce that Ghost is planning to hit the 6th Fleet. The 6th Fleet is then alerted, and they prepare for a nuclear attack. Ghost is beating and taunting Mitch, calling him a failure for not saving Katrina. He goes to stab Mitch, who grabs the blade with his hand and swiftly kills Ghost. Hurley and Kennedy are planning to take out the boat until they realize that Mitch has taken control of the boat. Hurley directs his chopper to head toward the boat, refusing to leave Mitch behind. He radios to Mitch, telling him to throw the bomb in the water as the Navy is about to fire on him. Mitch tosses the bomb into the water and is saved by the chopper just in time before the bomb explodes, causing a massive sinkhole. A large mushroom cloud is formed before the resulting shockwave batters the entire fleet and sends Hurley's chopper into a spin, but the pilot manages to save them. Mitch thinks Hurley should have left him, but Hurley tells him not to get used to it. A few weeks later, Mitch is in Dubai. Kennedy goes to see Hurley, who is recovering. They see news reports of General Rostami blaming the CIA for the nuclear event and being propped up as the next president of Iran. Mitch is nowhere to be found. Then they both realize he may be seeking to complete the mission. Rostami and his men then enter an elevator, but Mitch is already there.